back to PSA TV. This is Eye on Labor. I am your host, Christy Kali Singh. And as we count down the days to Independence Day, which is celebrated, of course, on August 31st, we're going to be highlighting some of our local heroes. This morning, I've got someone who is a lead track and field analyst for the NBC Sports Group. He is a four-time Olympic medalist, made his NBC Sports debut group in 2007, and he's also served as an analyst for NBC's coverage of the track and field World Championships. I'm speaking of no other than Mr. Ato Boldon. Good morning to you, Mr. Boldon.
Good morning to you, Kristen.
How are you this morning?
Not too bad. This is early for me.
Very early. Have you adjusted to, Trinidad's time versus the living away?
Well, I'm in Florida now, so at this time of the year, Trinidad
We've got the same time.
and the United States are on the same side, same time zone.
Okay, so my first question to you is sports on the whole. When you look at Trinidad sports, we've recently been competing in some games. What are your thoughts?
Sport has never been worse in Trinidad and Tobago right now. We have done more with less. And just look around. The cricket is really bad. The football, I think, is the worst it's ever been. Track and field is coming off of an okay Pan Am Games, but don't expect too much at the World Championships or the Olympics, because the Pan Am Games are of a much lesser standard. So to me, we need a complete revamp in almost all our sports. Cycling is doing very well. Cycling continues to be sort of a lone bright spot right now. But sports in general right now in Trinidad, for the people who really know, it's really, really difficult time. For somebody like me who kind of flew the flag for a long time, it's been difficult to watch. If there isn't a sporting body that is failing right now, they are in court fighting with somebody, whether it's boxing, cycling, everybody.
And how do you think we can come out of that state where, we have so much to offer in this country, yet, you don't really see it reflecting?
We have a culture where you have a group that gets into power, and then whether or not they are succeeding, they get to stay there. Certainly in track and field, in my sport, I have seen it, and I have talked to other people in other sports who say, yeah, it's basically the same thing. You have young, talented people who would like to contribute and who would like to help, but they are kept out because it's all about the power. And the people who are, football now that is basically what's happening. You have one group who have the power, they have the results. Trinidad just lost to a team that's ranked like 167th the other day.
Yeah.
It's unacceptable. But because the reins of power don't change, it's hard for anybody to do anything. And unfortunately, that's where a lot of sports are right now.
When we look at sport itself, you have many opportunities in sport, tourism, but not much is being tapped into, So holistically, are you pleased with the way in which sport, the manner in which it's delivered?
For us to have sports tourism, we have to have a country that's a little bit friendlier in terms of our headlines. Because you have to understand, if somebody is going to come and spend time in Trinidad and Tobago right now, they're going to see headlines, they're going to see certain things which may give them a little bit of pause. I think we've done well in terms of attracting sports tourism, despite some of our challenges in terms of crime and so on. But no, we could. I think for what we have to offer, we could do a lot more in terms of promoting that idea that I mean, we have the velodrome, we have a new cycling velodrome and so on. To me, we could do a lot more, but it's difficult to overcome what your sort of global reputation is currently um, when you're trying to attract visitors.
As a Trini living outside of Trinidad, um, when you look at news, or if you look at news, and you see the crime rates, does it bother you?
It would bother me. It would bother me no matter where I live. But yeah, I think like anybody who is a proud Trini, you look at what is going on and you realize that something has to change. Something has to change. I don't. It's tough. It's tough to see a place you love um, get the labels that the Trinidad and Tobago gets now, and to see what the headlines are. And I mean, obviously, I have a lot of people, a lot of friends that live back home, and they say, well, it's not that bad. But I belong to a Fatima chat group on WhatsApp, and one of my friends' mothers had to reveal the result of a shootout last month. So it is tough, and there are people who are being genuinely affected. I mean, I have some people who say, "Well, no, it's just a gang thing," but I have a lot of other people who have been directly affected by some of the things that have gone on. So it's very difficult to see that happen.
Your transition from sports, from being on the tracks to now being behind the scenes, being an analyst, how was that transition for you?
It happened probably a little quicker and easier than it would for most people. I retired in 2004 at the age of 30, and by the next year, I was on the air sparingly doing stuff for CBS, actually. And I look back and I realized that I was just having good management because way back in 1999, I was injured and couldn't go to the World Championships. And my agent said, well, you should still come. And I didn't want to go. I wanted to stay in Los Angeles where I lived at the time and feel sorry for myself. I said, no, get on a plane and come to the World Championships. We will find something for you to do. And within a couple of days of being there, the BBC contacted me and said, well, you're not going to be running at the World Championships. How would you like to come and sit in our studio and do some guest analysis? And I said, okay. And I put on my suit and I went down there. And that's when the bug bit me. And that's when I knew that I wanted to be on the air, doing analysis, being a sports broadcaster. And, I did it in 1999 for them, and then I did well, and they asked me to cover the USA Olympic trials in 2000. So when you can walk into a job interview with BBC, at the top of your resume, it certainly helps. So it helped me, and it made me make that transition. So people ask me, and I've mentored a lot of people who are now on the air. Maybe I think I've probably put 5 or 6 people, help to get them on the air. And they say, so how, other people say, so how can I get on the air? And I say, you have to be willing to start at a very low level. But my transition was pretty easy.
As we approach Independence Day, how would you describe, or do you think enough is being done to push our track and field athletes? And are you happy in our current state?
No, as I said before, the state of my sport has probably never been worse. We don't get any medals at the World Under 18 level. We just had a World Under 20 Championships last year. We got absolutely nothing. Our Carifta results weren't that bad this year, but it's like a new normal. It used to be that we were second behind Jamaica. Now it's normal for us to be consistently third and sometimes fourth, and that is seen as acceptable. I know very well that the only country that should be us in the Caribbean is Jamaica. So it's not good. It's not good. And my real fear is that we're headed back to an Olympic drought. Because between Paisley Crawford in 1976 and my 2 medals in Atlanta in 1996, we had no medals whatsoever in the Olympics. And I always said, I am going to end that drought. And thank God for Kishon and George Borvell and all the people who have won medals since I retired to keep that streak going. But now I look and I go, I think we may be headed for another draw. We don't have a single man that is qualified for the World Championships this year in the 100-meter dash.
No.
It's been a long time since we can say that. So things are not going well, and it's not all the fault of the administration. Some of these athletes have just not been performing, but um, my sport needs a real shot in the arm, and I don't know where it's going to come from.
Your hope for your sport?
My hope for my sport is that the people who now run it, their tenure comes to an end quickly, and that the people who replace them are going to go in there and excuse me, and they're going to go in there and have a sense of this is not about me. This is about the sport. When I got into the sport, for all the gallery and glasses and all that stuff, I had a very good sense of my job is to leave the sport better than I found it. And if we get people in there who go in there with that mentality, leave the sport better than you found it, track and field will recover. Until then, the results will continue to flatline.
Before we wrap things up, I just want to ask you, what is your independence wish for Trinidad and Tobago?
I wish that Trinidad and Tobago can go back to the way it used to be, and that starts with the people. It used to be that the village sort of raised the children, and now we have become a lot like the states, where everybody kind of looks out for themselves. I have always said that we are such a happy people at our core, and if whatever it is that has Trini so and Tobagonians so angry, I wish that we could identify what that is and get rid of it. Because at our core, we are very, very happy people. And if you know this, when you see Trinis in a party or carnival or something like that, it is the most beautiful thing in the world. And then we leave that and we go about our business. And Trinidad and Tobago do not look the same as it did when you and I were growing up. And if we can, I'm not saying we have to get back to 1979. I am saying that if we take a couple steps in that direction, I think our country and our society will improve greatly.
Lastly, you're a Trini living away from Trinidad, of course. What are the top 3 things that you keep and that you still do like a Trini?
Well, music, obviously. My playlist. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm 45 now. My playlist My playlist sounds like. I mean, I really, it's like an old man playlist. It's old Kitsch, it's old Sparrow and Sprunter and Explainer and Designer. It's not like, I mean, it's not that I don't play Kess and Marshall and so on. But I'm like, yeah, yeah, those are my friends. I know those guys. For some reason, the stuff that I play now is very much the music. Um, I would like to say food, but I was saying the other day, I don't eat a lot of Trini food anymore because it just, as you get older, you have to kind of watch what you eat. And a lot of what
Yeah,
we,
very true.
a lot of the Trini food that I like to eat is obviously not the healthiest stuff in the world. I'm good for consumption. Um, so I guess the second thing would be food, but I don't really consume of as much of it as I would like to. The third thing though is just probably the Trini values that I grew up with. The reason why I have continued to excel in my professional life is I think I bring a certain work ethic and dedication and kind of what I call a West Indian hustle, where I'm getting ready for the Olympics, for example, in Tokyo in 2020, and that's going to happen in about 10 months. And if people could see my preparation process, I literally will lock myself in my office for a month and get ready for every possible thing. And people might say, well, that's a little extreme. But for me, the preparation is so critical. And it's why
Yeah.
when you see me become, an Emmy nominee or something like that, it's like, yeah, I put in the work. So for me, at my core, and maybe that's a little bit of that is Trini Olympian, because obviously athletes tend to have a work ethic that's far superior to the average person, the average civilian. But for me, that is my engine, my Trini core value is to outwork everybody. I don't have to be the brightest. I don't have to be the best. But for me, if I have done the most work, then when I show up, I'm gonna do better than anybody who I have to compete against.
Wow, very interesting there. As you take your leave, your closing comments.
We are coming up on another Independence Day, and I think we have to look at who we are. They say part of a solution is admitting that you have a problem first. I think that we all have to look in the mirror and say, boy, what can I do? Can I volunteer a little bit more? Can I can I think a little bit more outside of my own household and maybe do something for the underprivileged, for the less fortunate? I think if we go in that direction as a country, I think we're on the road to recovery because I think everybody, no matter where they live, a Trinbagonian right now, if you ask them, what do you think is the state of your country? They will say, we don't like how it's going. And to me, it's one thing to say, okay, you don't like how it's going. What are you willing to do? Contribute something, do something to move the country in the right direction.
All right. So I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning. Continue doing the great job that you do across there and representing us and flying our flag highly as you do.
Thank you very much. Good to be with you
All
this morning.
right. Thank you so much. All right. So there we go. We have been chatting with to the media, of course, Mr. Ato Boldon. Coming up next, we are joined by Kalika B, a new and upcoming artist. So stay with us.